If you've ever wondered if you were in the lower, middle, or upper class, you might be surprised by how much or how little you actually need. Having spent 7 years working in finance with a degree in economics, I'm revealing the net worth, income, and qualities of the lower, middle, and upper class, along with strategies to move to the next class. Starting with the lower class, the bottom 25 percentile of net worth. The median net worth of this class as of 2022 is $3,500. Keep in mind, having a net worth of $3,500 doesn't literally mean you have $3,500 in your bank account. Net worth is basically the value of all the things you own, assets, minus the value of all your debts, liabilities. So if you own a house worth $300,000, you have $2,000 in your bank account, $1,000 in gold, and $800 in stocks, your total assets are worth $303,800. But on the flip side, if you still owe $299,000 on your mortgage, you have $900 in credit card debt, and $400 left on your payday loan, then your net worth is $3,500, putting you in the lower class. The median income for people in the lower class is $34,000, which, depending on the size of your family, could be considered the federal poverty level. This group of people typically works multiple minimum wage jobs like fast food workers, retail clerks, or janitors in order to make ends meet. However, keep in mind that this group also includes younger individuals with significant amounts of student debt. Essential expenses like rent, food, and transportation take up a lot of the budget, making it really hard for this group to save. What makes it worse is any unexpected expenses may force this group to take on debt with high interest, like credit cards or payday loans. But what's interesting is that the average net worth for the lower class is negative $5,300, which is less than the median net worth when usually it's the opposite. But basically this means that large levels of debt are pulling down the lower class. Going to the next class is challenging, but it's not impossible. The problem is nearly 40% of Americans can't cover a $400 emergency expense without taking on debt. So the most important thing you need to do now is review your finances and aggressively cut expenses and find any opportunities to save. Even if it's just $10, $15, or $30 extra a month, because this can make a really big difference. Focus on building up a 3 to 6 months emergency fund and keep that in a high yield savings account before you do anything else. Emergencies will happen, and the last thing you want is to rely on high interest debt, which will cut into your net worth even more. Moving on, the middle class, which is split into 3 different categories: the lower middle, the middle, and the upper middle class. What's interesting is that the net worth, income, and characteristics of each of these subgroups is very different from one another. According to Pew Research, 90% of Americans think they fall somewhere in the middle class. So which of these 3 categories are you in? The next 20 percentile is the lower middle class with a median net worth of $71,000 and a median income of $44,000. Although this class only earns about $10,000 more each year, their net worth is about 20 times larger than the lower class. Although this affords them a tad more comfort, relatively speaking, individuals in this group are still under a lot of financial pressure. The lower middle class includes a lot of young individuals early in their careers and blue-collar workers like truck drivers, construction workers, and factory workers. These individuals haven't had enough time to accumulate much wealth yet, but their stable jobs allow them to consistently save a bit each month. Moving to the next class requires a bit of effort. Although you might be out of the financial danger zone, you're still susceptible to other kinds of problems. First, those in the lower middle class see the middle class as buddies, so they feel the pressure to live the same way. And this is only made worse by the fact that the lower middle class wants to distinguish themselves from the lower class by buying nicer things. And this need to keep up with the Joneses causes this group to go deep into debt, buying things that they don't need to impress people that they don't care about. Other than avoiding lifestyle inflation, the most important thing to do is to increase your income. Income levels are highly correlated to education levels. Studies show the median wealth for a college graduate is about 31 times more than those with no high school diploma. So if you have a high school diploma, or you went to college but you didn't graduate for one reason or another, consider getting an associate's degree. It takes only half as much time compared to a bachelor's degree, and then the median wealth jumps to $139,000. class. If you don't want to go back to school, then negotiate getting a higher salary or you start a side hustle. Basically, the key here is by increasing your income and reducing your expenses, you'll be able to use that extra money to buy the one thing that empowers many people to reach the next class, which I'll tell you in the next section. The next 20% is the middle class with a median net worth of $159,000 and a median income of $71,200. Both metrics are nearly double that of the lower middle class, which allows this group to be modestly financially stable. Most individuals in this group have more education under their belt and often have white-collar jobs with solid benefits, like IT support specialists, accountants, and mid-level managers. Now, this group also contains certain specialized blue-collar workers like electricians and plumbers. Now, naturally, with more disposable income, the middle class dabbles more into investments as part of their financial strategy. What's really interesting is 64.3% of the assets of the middle class is held in real estate with homeownership. This probably doesn't come as a surprise, but homeownership increases net worth over time as equity builds. Like in 2019, the median net worth of US homeowners was 40 times higher than renters, at $255,000 compared to $6,300. Moving to the next class heavily revolves around reducing your taxes and strategic investing. Taxes are a big factor that prevent many people from moving up. Although your income is increasing, the issue is that a higher salary means a higher tax bracket. You can easily save thousands and pay less in taxes by taking advantage of tax advantage accounts like 401ks, IRAs, and Roth IRAs. But I know that this can get really confusing. Like many of you, I didn't grow up knowing anything about finances. I had to read books, watch videos, and study for months before I got a good grasp on it. And I realized that many people are just too busy to really focus on it. The problem is a lack of financial literacy makes it really hard to build wealth. What I think is really helpful is this app called Playbook, which can help you reduce your investment taxes and grow your wealth the smart way. Playbook's mission is to help people reach financial freedom faster. Building your financial plan and paying as few taxes as possible every year is tough, especially if you're not a financial expert. Like 401ks, IRAs, and Roth IRAs can get really confusing. Playbook is a platform that uses proven strategies, the same ones used by certified financial planners and billionaires to determine your optimal tax strategy so you can reduce your tax bill. By filling out a few questions online, Playbook will take into account your entire financial picture, what tax-saving strategies you should take advantage of, and in what order. In fact, Playbook estimates it could increase your future net worth at retirement by about $1.3 million for the average user. It's easy to sign up, just check out the link below to get your financial plan in minutes. Clicking that link supports the channel, but more importantly, it can help you easily pay less taxes and build your wealth. Thanks again to Playbook for sponsoring this video. The next 20 percentile is the upper middle class, and this is where the wealth distribution starts skewing towards bigger numbers. The upper middle class's median net worth is double that of the previous class at $307,000, and they have a median income of $115,000. This group has more higher education, such as college degrees, and they hold professional or leadership positions like senior managers, engineers, or architects. Although they earn a good amount of money from their main job, this isn't their only source of income. Passive income plays a significant role for this group. After consistently contributing to retirement accounts, stock portfolios, and real estate, upper middle class individuals benefit a lot from compound interest and returns on their investments, which supplement their regular income. Now, surprisingly, expenses are split in this category, with some six-figure earners saying they live paycheck to paycheck and aren't able to save money. But for those who can save, they're able to upgrade their living standards. This means private cars, cleaners, and exclusively buying organic, pasture-raised, gluten-free avocados. Moving to the next class requires a bit more je ne sais quoi. I have no idea what that means. It's no longer about saving your extra money in a bank account and occasionally putting it in the stock market. If we look at the breakdown of assets for each wealth class in the US, you'll see that the middle class has most of their wealth in housing and real estate. But for the next 19%, aka the upper class, most of their wealth is held in business equity and stocks. In 2019, 64.3% of the assets of the middle class was invested in their own homes. In contrast, it was only 25.9% of the assets for the upper class. And it's not to say that you shouldn't invest in real estate because the upper class definitely invested in it, but the upper class focuses more on non-home ownership types of real estate, like office complexes, residential apartments, or motels. Moving on, the upper class, which I split into two different categories, the lower upper class and the upper class, because the numbers and characteristics of each group is, well, you just gotta see it. The next 10 percentile is the lower upper class with a median net worth double that of the previous class and nearly 5 times more than the middle class at $747,000 and a median income of $189,000. What's interesting is, although the monetary jump from the middle class to the lower upper class is a lot of money, the middle class is actually shrinking. Between 1971 and 2023, the middle class shrank by 10%, while the upper and lower class grew by 8% and 3% respectively, which indicates a worsening wealth divide. The lower upper class often has a college degree or higher and holds highly specialized professions or leadership positions at companies. There's doctors, lawyers, and senior managers. The good news is that most people can actually break into the lower upper class with some good consistent financial habits and investing. For example, if you start at age 24 with an annual salary of $65,000 and you invest 10% of your income, or $6,500 a year, or $540 a month, assuming a 10% rate of return, you would have more than $787,000 by age 50. Now, thanks to their high net worth, people in the lower upper class don't really feel much financial pressure from everyday purchases compared to the lower 80% of Americans. They can replace their cars if needed or go on vacation when they want because they spent years building multiple income streams and owning a good amount of different asset classes like real estate and stocks, which sound like they got everything until you see the next class. The top 10 percentile is the upper class, which is the most challenging class to break into. This group's median net worth is nearly 4 times more than that of the lower upper class at $2.5 million. And it's double the median income at $378,000. Although the upper class also contains many college graduates and people with higher education, the big difference between the two subgroups is the number of business owners. Nearly half of households in the top 10 percentile own some type of business, which means that business ownership probably provides the huge returns that normal investments in real estate and stock ownership cannot. And that leads me to something you've got to start accepting. Even if you're trying your hardest to get rich, there is one extra step that you might be forgetting. And it's that if you really want to be rich, you need to look poor. Click here to discover the 5 reasons why looking poor is so important.